Level up your LA Kings experience with the new Vivid Seats Elite Seats. All the on-ice Kings action with even more exclusive access. Enjoy great seats to the game along with premier dining inside the Lexus Club with all-you-can-eat food and non-alcoholic beverages. Plus, get a free Team LA Kings item and parking with your purchase. Score your Vivid Seats Elite Seats tickets today and earn rewards on each purchase from the only ticket company that rewards you for buying. Experience it live with Vivid Seats, the official partner of the LA Kings.
You're listening to an LA Kings podcast. For more episodes of this and every other Kings program, visit lakings.com/podcast.
You're listening to All the Kings Men, the official podcast of the LA Kings. Now, here's your host, Jesse Cohen.
All right, it is Monday morning. That means it's time to crown a King of the Week. And joining me to help out this week, Eddie Garcia from Locked On LA Kings. How are you doing today, Eddie?
I'm well, Jesse. Good to see you. Thank you for having me.
Anytime. Now, I want to start out with a stat. We're recording this 11:30 at night, immediately following the Kings' 8-1 defeat of the San Jose Sharks. I mentioned this stat, and somebody on Kings Talk said, what an unbelievable thing is sport, that even after being fans of a team for however many years and seeing the team win the Stanley Cup twice and blah, 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 there's still like things that you can see that you've never seen before. So the Kings, with their win tonight at home, set the franchise record for most home wins in a season with 27. That's crazy. I mean, they've had 4 or 5 seasons of 26, but that's how good they are at home this year. It's the best they've ever been.
Yeah, and there's still time for more to add.
Yeah, that's right.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, and I'm sure they will. When I talk to people in and out of the sport, I always get asked when they want to talk about the Kings, why?
Yeah.
And it's just, I don't have a good answer. And I know Jim Hiller's been asked and he doesn't have a really good answer, but it's pretty clear that they feel like special things can happen when they're at home. So
yeah,
hopefully that specialness will continue beyond the regular season. So, but yeah,
well, it's why that home ice advantage maybe feels more important this year than in previous years. And I've had conversations with people who are adamant that home ice advantage does not matter. And I get it. Statistically, it's true, right?
Yep.
Like it just doesn't. And that fine, whatever. But, and I've said this time and time again, I'll repeat myself here. If the Kings finish the season with home ice advantage against the Edmonton Oilers, and that first game of the playoffs is at Crypto.com Arena for the 4th year in a row against the Edmonton Oilers, and that first ceremonial puck drop happens, and then the actual game starts on home ice for the LA Kings, that place is going to go crazy. And it might not matter in the long run for how the series plays out, and it might not, but it'll matter emotionally. It'll matter to me personally. I mean, not that means anything, but.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. In general, when you look at the sport, it doesn't always mean it's not always as important as you would think it would be. Yeah. But in this particular case, I do agree with you. I think it would feel different. Not only because for the first time in the 4 meetings you would start in LA, but just the way the Kings have played at home, it would just feel different. And I will also, unfortunately, say on the flip side, if somehow they don't get home ice advantage and they have to start in Edmonton, that will feel deflating. So yeah. Hopefully it happens. If it does, I just feel like as a fan base, and I got to believe as an organization, it just has a different feel this year. Like this year, it's going to be different. That would be a tangible thing for us to look at and say, it is different this year because of this, because of where we're starting. So hopefully that's the case. And that's what's made the win over San Jose even that more important, right? Because they got to take care of their business in these types of games, or it doesn't matter what they do.
I saw somebody say online somewhere, and I apologize, I forgot where, but I saw somebody say, the losses to Colorado and Toronto mean they won't finish with home ice because you just can't lose. And I was like, it's 2 games. Like, they're still up. It's
by the way, against 2 really good teams. I mean,
and you have 2 games against Edmonton. So,
and I think the Avalanche, schedule. What did the Avalanche had won 10 or 11 in a row at home at that point too? I mean, no.
There's plenty of hockey left to be played. And, at this point, you're of a similar vintage as I am when it comes to being a Kings fan.
Yes.
But this is another thing I've repeated myself on. We've seen the team win the cup. And
Yeah.
as much as I would love to see it happen again, at this point, I'm collecting happy memories, and a first round win, the first one in 10 years. And it would only be, if my math is correct, it would only be the fourth first round win since 1993, if I'm not mistaken, because they won in 1993. They won in 2012. I guess they won in fifth. Sorry. I forgot about 2013. But they hadn't won a first round from 93 to 2012. Like I want a first round win.
Yeah.
Even if it means losing in the second round or the third round, I don't care. I want to see it.
Yeah, I think we want to see progress, right?
Yeah.
We'll feel happier if we can see there's progress. And I've said it to a few different people, if we were to beat the Oilers, it would almost feel like 2 playoff wins because number one, we'd get over the hump of getting out of the first round. And number 2, we'd get over the hump of beating the team that's beat us 3 years in a row. So it would feel bigger than just a first round playoff win.
I feel like all I do is repeat myself these days, but I'm going to do it again. There's a scene in Pulp Fiction where John Travolta is talking about taking his car out of storage after having lived in Amsterdam for 3 years. And I think it was like the first or second day after it might have even been the day he took it out of storage, somebody keys his car. And he says it would have been worth it to have them key it just to catch them doing it.
Yes.
And I'm not going to say that losing to Edmonton 3 years in a row would be worth it to beat them for the fourth try, but it kind of would. I mean, it would have built up the emotion to that moment. So I understand I'm putting the cart way before the horse, but there's plenty of hockey left to be played. Meanwhile, the Kings played 4 games this week. They won. They beat the New York Rangers. They lost to Colorado. They lost to Toronto. And then they absolutely curb stomped the San Jose Sharks. The format. So we're going to start out with you, Eddie, this week for your honorable mention for King of the Week.
Well, I usually want to try and think a little outside the box when
Sure.
I make these picks because I want to be smart. But mine's pretty straightforward here, I think, just as far as points collected and whatnot. My honorable mention goes to a player I've really enjoyed watching so much this year, his first year with the LA Kings. He's just flying all over the ice. He contributes on both ends and just has a great motor. And that's Warren Fogle, who had 2 goals and an assist, 2 against San Jose, an assist against the Rangers. So he's my honorable mention.
I mean, it's pretty hard to argue that pick. Warren Fogle has been, I think he also set career highs tonight for goals and points in a season with 22 goals and 42 points. He's been everything you could ask for and more. And it's funny, right? Because he's not, the year that Adrian Kempe scored 41 goals, everybody's eyebrows were blown back. And this is not that kind of season. He won't probably finish with 30 goals. But it was a little bit, when Phil Deneau came in and everybody said, 5 goals. And then I think he scored 27 his first year as a King. It was, it was important and he contributed tremendously to that season. Warren Fogle wasn't the exact same situation. It's not like he came in and people said, he's only a 5-goal scorer or whatever, but it was like, okay, his career high was, I think 20.
Mm-hmm.
And, he did it playing next to Leon Draisaitl. I was guilty of that as much as the next person. So for him to come out and play up and down the lineup, different line mates, different roles, become a penalty killing specialist with Quentin Byfield, and then to not only replicate the 20 goals he scored last year, but to improve on it and throw out there publicly that he hated Edmonton, which is not nothing. Yeah, I mean, he's having a tremendous season, and he had a good, strong week. I think that's a great pick.
Thank you.
I did just the opposite. I did not go outside the box. I went squarely inside the box. And I have a rule, generally speaking, that if a guy plays his first game or scores his first goal, he gets at least an honorable mention. So I'm going to go with Jeff Malott. He's now played 3 games, I think, for the LA Kings, and only 4 in his NHL career because he played 1 with Winnipeg. For a guy who's undrafted, he's 6'4", he's 204 pounds, plays his first game in a Kings uniform after being recalled from Ontario, gets in a fight gets, kudos from the coach. I forget, was it the Colorado game? I guess it must have been that Hiller said he was the best player out there. So my honorable mentions Jeff Malott, pressed into duty late in the season.
Yeah, that fight was something else. Whatever you think of fighting, that fight with Carlo was impressive, and for both guys, I thought it was just going toe to toe and throwing. I'm going to take a couple, I'm going to give a couple, but in the end, it was kind of one of those ones where you could see both guys look at each other and kind of give them a nod, like, yeah, that was a pretty good one. I'm sure it helped a lot, though. It was on Hockey Night in Canada, and Jeff's from Ontario, and I'm sure that had a little extra juice for him. He's come close to scoring a couple times. He had a real good chance of scoring the San Jose game. If he would have gotten his first NHL goal, I may have thrown him in there as well. So I do not mind that pick at all.
That fight, it's funny. I vacillate back and forth between loving fighting and hating fighting, because when you have these players that you like and then they get smashed in the face, it sucks. Like, it's great when, if you love a guy and he just goes out and dominates a fight, you're like, yeah, this is amazing. I love hockey. But if you like, I'll just take Kyle Clifford, for example. There were a couple fights where he got bashed in the face pretty good, and you just go like, no, I don't particularly want to see that. No disrespect to Jeff Malott, but a guy like Jeff Malott, who I have not yet had a chance to develop an emotional attachment to, for him to go out there and again, like, in the part of a season where you're 70 some games into the season, the team is basically in a playoff spot. It'd be pretty unbelievable at this point for them to fall out. And he's obviously looking to make a name for himself. And I don't mean that in like a negative way, but like, he wants, he wants an NHL spot. He wants. It's a great
opportunity for him.
Yeah,
for sure.
He's undrafted. He's been a career minor leaguer, basically. He's played for the Florida Everblades, the Manitoba Moose, and now the Ontario Reign. He went to Cornell like Andy Bernard. It impressed me. So he's my honorable mention. Eddie, your runner-up then.
I'm going to go with Anze Kopitar with his 4 assists. Start of the year, literally the first game, right? On an amazing note. And he was so good. And we're like, Father Time has been beaten at least for 1 year. And, and then suddenly you're like, oh no, it's caught up to him. But I think he's, in these last few weeks, I've seen a different Anze Kopitar. He looks a little more like there's some jump in his step a little bit more now. I don't know if he's gotten his second win, but clearly he's still an incredibly important part of the Kings. So great to see him with some nice setups and his 4 assists, 1 against the Rangers and 3 against the Sharks. So he's my runner-up for King of the Week.
He is a player, and I've said this before about him. His superpower is his hockey brain. He also happened to be fortunate enough to be born into a 6'4" body with, incredible coordination and, a heck of a shot. I still think he's one of the most dangerous shooters from inside the slot, the high slot in particular. But his ability to see the ice is what has made him a future Hall of Famer and a captain and a 2-time Stanley Cup champion. And the fact that even when he's maybe not having his best week, he's still picking up 4 assists, ho hum. Just goes to show you, like, the guy, and they're not the kind of assist where like, oh, he passes it. There's some assists where like a D partner makes a pass to a D partner, and then that guy takes it on a rush, makes a million impressive moves, and at the last second dishes it to an open man who pots the goal. And the guy who started the play in the defensive zone picks up a secondary assist, and you go, okay, well, sure, he got a point, but what did he even do? These are plays that Anze Kopitar is making, and it's impressive. Because no disrespect to Anze Kopitar, but I'm older than him, so I can say it. He's getting old. Like, it happens. It happens to the best of us. You and I both have silver in our beard, in our respective beards. And gosh, who did I see recently? Oh, there was a player. I think it was Drew Doughty. They did like an extreme close up of him during the Toronto game, and I was like, "Oh my God, there's silver in his beard." Not a lot, just like 1 or 2. And I was like, "Oh no, oh no, that's rough." But it happens.
It does.
But yeah, 4 points in a week like that is a pretty good week, especially for a guy whose offense had begun to sort of taper off. But my runner-up is Trevor Moore, and I told you that I made a switch last second before we started recording, and this is the switch. I was going to go with somebody else, but then just out of curiosity, I went and I did a goofy thing that I like to do just to see who was on the ice for how many goals against versus how many goals for. Trevor Moore was on the ice for 5 goals and on the ice for only 1 against in the 4 games. And he had 3 points over the 4 games. He had a goal and 2 assists. He was a +2. Andre Kopitar, by the way, also 54.8 in the faceoff dot over those 4 games. So, like, just contributing all over the ice. But Trevor Moore.
Plus, you wanted to give Trevor a birthday present. There's nothing.
Yes,
wrong with
that's
that.
right. That's his birthday. Thank you. Or today, I guess, if you're listening to this on Monday. But it's just one of those little things that sort of put it over the edge for me, because in a week where you got outscored 7-1 in 1 game or in 2 games, and then outscored your opponents 11-2, if I'm not mistaken, in the other 2 games, to only be on the ice for 1 goal against in that amount of goals scored against your team is pretty good. And for that, I mean, I think he had the widest margin. Fogle was on the ice for 4 and only 1 against. Jordan Spence, again, somehow only 1 goal against in his minutes played. But Trevor Moore, they need Trevor Moore to be a point producer and to not have those points negated by being on the ice when goals are scored against. So 5 goals for, 1 goal against, 3 points. It's his birthday on Monday. That's my runner-up, is Trevor Moore. That brings us then to your King of the Week pick.
I'm going with the player that I didn't have high expectations for.
Mm-hmm.
When they picked him up, I thought, okay, if it works out, great. If not, okay. And I really have grown to enjoy just watching him play. He's fun to watch, and it's Andrei Kuzmenko with his goal and 3 assists. I've never seen a player who's so slow going from one end of the ice to the other, but so quick in a tight space in the offensive zone. His stopping and starting is amazing. He's kind of Kevin Fiala-like, not quite as high end, but he also doesn't seem to have as much drama as Kevin sometimes, right?
Yes.
His passing.
I like the way you phrase that. That's good. Yeah.
He still makes very good passes, but without some of those really force it through 3 guys type of attempts and passes. I noticed right away his passes to the point always seem to be perfect. They don't have to reach for the passes, they're always right there. So I've been very pleasantly surprised with Andrei Kuzmenko. And when I did my research, when they picked him up, I read more times than not, he will play no defense and he has no interest in playing defense. And I'm like, well, I'll tell you what I've seen of him, he looks like he wants to play defense, and he's not a liability on the ice. He had that, I think it was against Colorado. He had a hell of a back check to break up a 2-on-1 when it was like 3-0. And I'm like, that doesn't look like a guy who has no interest in playing defense. So even for what we were told he wasn't very good at, I don't really see that. I'm not saying he's a Selke Trophy finalist, but he looks like he wants to play some defense, and he's not afraid to do it. So I've been really pleasantly surprised. I've really enjoyed watching Andrei Kuzmenko play. And I think he's helped out the top line, and he's helped out the power play a little bit, which it needed something to help him out. So anyway, Andrei Kuzmenko, 4 points, a goal, and 3 assists is my King of the Week.
Well, bravo, because that is also my King of the Week for all the reasons you laid out. And then in addition, when they acquired him, I had no idea. I mean, I knew I'd seen his stat line. I knew, okay, he had how many goals with Vancouver in his first year, and then he got traded. I missed him getting traded from Calgary to Philly. So when it was like, oh, they got him from Philly, I was like, is there another Kuzmenko out there? I thought he was still in Calgary. And my brain still keeps trying to add a syllable to his name. My brain thinks it's Kuzmanenko, not Kuzmenko. So but
all right.
I have to confess, when they first acquired him, and this is just my Kings fan DNA, And I'm sure every Kings fan that was a fan prior to the 2012 Cup run will have similar memories. Whether it was Cliff Ronning or Anson Carter or the two fellas they picked up from Minnesota one year.
Mark Parrish.
Thank you. That's exactly the trade I was thinking of. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
You know, the list of Kings players acquired at the deadline who just vanished into nothing and didn't accomplish anything, and then were either let go during the summer or whatever.
I'm with you 1,000%.
The list is long and robust, and I just thought, like, okay, 3rd round pick. At least it didn't cost anything. We'll see how it goes. And then, no fault of his own, he comes in and he has to play right away, and then a back-to-back, and then what was it, three games in 4 nights, I think, with no practice in between games 2 and 3. I mean, like, he just was brought in and thrown in the lineup and like, okay, show us what you got. And the answer for the first couple of games was nothing. Not that he didn't do anything, but I mean, no points. And so you're like, rant. I've seen this movie 1,000 times before. This is just going to be another version of this. And I just hope that it doesn't hurt the team, because I don't know how much some of those other trades hurt the team, but it didn't go great for the team and it didn't go great for the player in past iterations. So I was like, he's exploded and he's putting up points and he's making things happen. And not only did he have, what did you say, a goal and 3 assists, 4 points on the week, and was a +1 and, you know, playing 17 minutes a game, but also on the ice for 5 goals for and just 2 against, to your point about defense. 61.50 control of expected goals for when he's on the ice, 68.57% control of Corsi when he's on the ice. Like, I don't know if that's because he's playing defense or if just the way that he plays offense means that the puck is never in the other team's zone. I don't much care. Either way, the end result is the puck is always, it seems to always be in the King's zone. And then, you know, it was the second Kempe goal against the Sharks, where you're like, all right, it's 6-1. It's the 3rd period. Who really cares? But nonetheless, he makes that move. He finds Gavrikov. And, you know, look, the broadcasters weren't paying attention to the game. The officials weren't paying attention to the game. I guess the Sharks weren't paying that close attention to the game, but Kuzmenko obviously was. And, you know, good for him. It was a great play. It was a great move. And that shot he had to, I forget what made it 5-1 or whatever it was. I mean, he's got a hell of a shot. It just comes out.
Yeah, I hope we see more of it.
Nowhere.
Yeah, I hope we see more of it.
Yeah, and now after he's got 7 points, I think, as a King, I now have, maybe faith is too strong a word, but he's definitely not one of those. I mean, he's already far surpassed most of the players that we mentioned.
Yeah, I agree.
And 7 points as a King in 13 games, 3 goals, 4 assists, and a +5. So I'm just like, all right, he's not those guys. This is not that kind of transaction. It's a 3rd round pick. You can find a third. I mean, listen, there's plenty of Kings prospects that have turned into great players that were 3rd or 4th round picks. So I don't want to play it off as if a 3rd round pick is nothing. But if you really need to acquire an extra 3rd round pick, you can do it. So to essentially add a guy, now there have been lots of questions about whether or not they should re-sign him. And I had not previously, thank God I didn't attempt an answer on this question. I had not realized that he's an RFA at the end of the year, which means that re-signing him either means qualifying his or signing his qualifying offer, which at the contract he is currently playing at, the Flyers paid half of it, and it's, you know, I'm blanking on the word, but it's not a full season. Yes, thank you. Oh, you know what? Actually, I take it back. He's an unrestricted free agent at the end of the year, so that person on Twitter was wrong. They could resign him in the offseason. See, this is why you have to this is why you have to do your own research and not listen to Twitter. He is actually unrestricted at the end of the year. So you could resign him, and you could resign him for whatever you can negotiate with him. There's no entry-level contract to worry about. I'm not sure that that's the move. We still have 9 games left in the regular season and then however many in the playoffs, and who knows? But I mean, for now, certainly for the last 4 games, he's my King of the Week. And I'm glad that you and I agree on that, because when he shoots that puck,
Yeah, and we talked about, an opportunity for Jeff Malott. How about the opportunity for Andrei Kuzmenko? We're going to bring you over to a team that's going to be in the playoffs, and we're going to put you on the quote unquote top line and the number one power play unit. How do you feel about that? Sign me up. Yeah, I think I would really like that.
All you have to do is play a modicum of defense. You don't even have to really.
Yeah.
And nobody's going to be paying attention. You just have to try, right? Like that's what I was thinking when you're talking about. Is like so much of defense is just, are you trying?
Yeah.
Some guys don't. Some guys do. It's and there's these little plays, where it was one of the power play goals tonight. I think it was the Adrian Kempe one, where Kuzmenko, he wasn't doing anything flashy. He was screening the goaltender. He was out front, and he was turning his body. I mean, he was putting in work in front of the net as Kopitar was curling around and finding Adrian Kempe. He was moving his feet. He was not just stationary getting pushed around. He was pushing. He was doing work.
And for not being the biggest guy in the world, he seems to have no fear of going right in front of the net at all, which you gotta love. How can you not love that?
Yeah, and I mean, I think your point about him having Fiala-esque qualities is well taken, and it just gives them more flexibility, more. Excuse me, that was disgusting. More flexibility, more options, more pizzazz. I don't know what the word I'm looking for is, but it gives them more of it with him in the lineup.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're not in the locker room, but by all accounts, he's also very popular in the room as well. As a guy he's got a great personality. He's very positive. I will just say to this point, if you would have told me this is what he's going to offer and the numbers, I would have been through the moon over this. So it's already worked out as far as I'm concerned. So whatever happens from here on out is great. I can't imagine it's going to be anything less than what we've seen so far. I don't see any reason why he can't keep doing what he's been doing of late. And it's been a lot of fun.
Now, I want to talk to you about one game in the last 4, because it was a game that I was not home in time to really get into. I was full of oxycodone, if I'm being fully honest about it. And that is the Colorado game. I saw the score. I watched most of the game, but my focus was drifting. And fortunately, there was no Kings talk that night. I had a bunch of different medical chemicals inside my body. But I saw a comment from you about the power play. Mm-hmm. So I want to ask you your confidence level, because I know that it was 4-0. I watched, I was able to watch, and it didn't look to me like a great game. And that seems to be the comments that I got from people. So at this point in the season, we're at 73 games. At that point, it was 70-71. They beat Carolina. They beat New York. They beat a Rangers team that desperately needed those points. They absolutely demolished the last place team in the league. They go on the road, and I don't want to say they mailed in that Colorado game, but the comments that I have seen, even from Jim Hiller, he said Jeff Malott had the best game on the team, right? Like that's not a great comment about how the rest of your team performed. So 1 through 10, what's your confidence rating on this team going in, heading into the last 9 games of the regular season, when that they can beat the Carolina Hurricanes 7-2, but they can lose 4-0 to the Colorado Avalanche?
My confidence level just overall on who they are, the rest of the way. I mean, obviously you've got those 2 huge games against Edmonton. But the rest, they've got Colorado back at home. I'm very curious to see how that goes. Yeah. Because I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that they could flip the script. And I will say this, I don't know how you feel about this, but I didn't understand why they didn't play Darcy Kemper in that game. I didn't like the message that sent. I didn't understand why he needed the rest. We know David Riddick has been pretty good at home, but not good at all on the road. And it just bothered me, that decision. And then the explanation afterwards saying we wanted to kind of see if we could get David going. And I'm like, going where? I mean, Darcy is going to be our guy. I mean, this is a guy who's in a conversation as a Vezina finalist. And to not play him in that game against that team, I didn't understand that. I don't know if that kind of, permeated through the lineup or I mean, look, I'm not suggesting that the Kings didn't play hard for David Riddick, but I'm just like, if I'm getting ready to play in this big game on the road, and I know we haven't been great on the road, and my number one guy isn't there, and we're not playing back-to-back games, I don't think I would be very happy about that.
It's funny. You're not the first person to reference that topic with me, and I'm not pushing back. I'll just say it didn't even occur to me. Now, it's entirely possible that it didn't occur to me because, like I said, I was full of oxycodone at the time. But it's just one of those things where I was just like, yeah, I don't know. They didn't play him tonight. I thought not playing him tonight was, although I guess he played last night, which I didn't even think about earlier. But it's funny. There's this sort of, the reason I ask is because there's this, it feels like as we draw closer to the end of the season, the fan emotion level is more volatile than it's been in a while. And so you lose 2 in a row to 2 really good teams, right? Colorado and Toronto are really good teams. And suddenly the fact that they scored 14 goals in back-to-back games on the weekend, right? Like last weekend, it was like, the Kings are back, unstoppable,
right.
Get out of the way. It's the Kings train coming through. And then they beat the Rangers, and it's, and then, okay, they lose 2 in a row, and it's, they're going to lose in the first round to Edmonton again. And I'm like, well, let's get to the first round before we start making any sort of proclamations. And when they were on that 5-game losing streak, bookended by the overtime losses, I said to people, listen, we've had 5-game winning streaks. We've had 6-game winning streaks. We've had 5-game losing streaks. It happens. But to me, this team is who they are. And, like you're going to lose, right? Like who did Buffalo beat tonight? Was it tonight that Buffalo beat
Washington?
Yeah,
Washington.
8-5, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, okay. Like it happens, right? Buffalo's
Sure.
not good.
Sure.
Washington's the best team in the league. Maybe they got,
for me, I didn't like the Colorado game because I didn't like the way they played, but I also have a ton of respect for Colorado. I think they could be, when it's all said and done, I wouldn't be shocked if they were in the Stanley Cup final. That's how good they are. I thought the Kings played pretty well against Toronto. There were some goofy things that happened and some calls that didn't, I don't know if I was as upset about the calls as Jim Hiller seemed to be after the game.
Yeah.
But that was kind of they were right there with the Leafs. I thought the effort was very strong. I thought they put up a pretty good showing, and then, but the special teams didn't come through. 5-on-5, the Kings, I thought, were the better team. But then there's the special teams issue. So I guess to finally get back and answer your question, I feel pretty good about the Kings. I am concerned about the special teams.
Yeah. Well, especially against Edmonton, right? Like,
of course.
We know what it is. They're incredible, and it's going to be tough.
And I've kind of gotten to the point where it's like, I'm not expecting anything good to happen on the power play, but we just have to make sure we either stay out of the box as much as possible or have the penalty kill come through for us.
Yeah.
Because I think we can compete with them 5-on-5, but if it becomes a special teams contest, that's going to be hard.
The kicker for me is the penalty kill, or the power play, excuse me. First of all, I don't think you can go scoreless on the power play like last season. That's not going to get it done. But
they're not.
Yeah, no, exactly. But even if you do go scoreless, you can't give up shorthanded goals, and not even goals. You can't give up shorthanded chances. So
sure.
every time an opponent scores a shorthanded goal, I just get this little stab of like, oh, that's not great. That's how you lose moments, games, series, whatever. But to your point about the Toronto game, I think 3 people that called into Kings Talk tonight just immediately were like, I want to talk about last night's game. I was like, okay.
Did anybody bring up the call in the Ducks game, by the way?
No, but I saw people saying
Yeah.
like, how do you,
Yeah.
and I, it is what it is. But I mean, in that Toronto game, the first goal that they score is shorthanded.
Yeah.
And it's just like, nah, you like, if the power play is not going to help you, it at least has to not hurt you.
Correct.
And that has been my concern. And I had hoped that they had solved that problem. And percentage wise, their power play is pretty good since the trade deadline. But it's got to, I said this about Quentin Byfield. I think it was I don't remember when, but it was when he scored his sixth game in a row. He scored a goal. And everyone was like, Quentin Byfield, he's here. This is his team, whatever, blah, blah. And I said, that's great. There's however many games left in the season. I need him to keep doing it. Like, you can't just score 20 and then be like, all right, I'm done, everybody. I'll see you in mid-April when the playoffs start. Like, no, it's the same thing as the power play. Like, I need it to keep happening. There's 9 games left in the season. I need this team to keep winning because I've seen too many, just to bring up Anson Carter's ghost again. I've seen too many seasons where they lose 11 in a row to end a season and miss the playoffs, even though you thought they were in. And I just, right now, for what I'm going through personally, I can't handle it, Eddie. I need them to make the playoffs on a strong, and I need them to go into the playoffs playing well. I can't have them backing in right now. I just can't. So, but that's just me.
Yeah. I think it's going to be okay. I think it's going to be all right.
I mean, no complaints, 1 or 2 minor concerns, but no out and out complaints at the moment. And look, as goofy as it is to care about beating the worst team in the league, imagine if they had lost tonight.
Sure.
I mean, the last time these two teams played, San Jose beat them 7-2, scored 5 goals in the third period.
I remember it well, and I remember how I felt afterwards.
Yeah, imagine 3, losing 3 in a row, losing to San Jose. Like,
yeah, no, they did exactly what they needed to do, and that felt good.
And it's I always sort of, I don't like it when people say like, well, you don't get credit for doing what you're supposed to do. And you're like, well, sure you do. You don't get a ton of credit for it. You don't get like awards and ceremonies.
Yeah, that's like, and I hate, sometimes I fall into this trap too when I say they played hard tonight. And I'm like, yeah, but they're supposed to play hard. They get paid a lot of money to play hard. I hate giving them credit for doing what they're supposed to do, but sometimes they don't.
Yeah.
So if they do come out and they're really working and for some reason it just doesn't work out that night, I'm okay. I can understand that, but at least you got to at least give me that. So
yeah. And for all the fans that were in the building tonight, what a fun game that must have been. I mean, 8 is a lot.
How about, if you were one of those people that decided, I think I'll go in on season tickets this year.
Yeah.
Man, have you had a lot of fun? Yeah. You have left crypto.com arena with a smile a lot this season. That's a great thing for the organization to be able to do that.
I told somebody recently, I don't know if it's coincidence. I don't know what to attribute it to. Maybe it's just that I've been on Reddit and Twitter more than in previous years, but I've seen a lot of people saying either I'm new to LA or I'm new to the Kings or I'm new to hockey and the Kings are my team, or I haven't watched the Kings in 15 years or whatever it is. Like, what do I need to know? Catch me up. There's been a lot of that. And it's fun, and it's fun to watch the older fans, the fans of a certain vintage, embrace the newer vintage. So it's good stuff. Eddie, people can watch you Monday through Friday, right? On Locked On Kings, Locked On LA Kings?
I'm actually doing Monday through Saturday now.
Monday through Saturday.
Yes, I am taking off Sunday. It's not necessarily for the Lord's Day or anything, but I do have one day off, but
I'm sorry to make you work on your day off.
Yeah, no, that's fine. This isn't work. This is just fun. If you want to check out a daily podcast on the LA Kings, about 25, 30 minutes long every day. Every day, but one day. Mm-hmm. You can find the Locked On LA Kings podcast wherever you get your podcast. And we have a YouTube show. It's the same show, but if you want to watch me for some reason, you can do that as well. Locked On LA Kings. I always say, please include the LA so you don't get the basketball team from the state capital of California.
And I apologize. I haven't been watching as much as I have in the past. Turns out hockey has taken not all. watch the games, but the sort of, oh, whatever.
Yes.
You get it.
I totally get it.
Yeah. So thank you for joining me. Appreciate it. And thanks for agreeing with me about Andrei Kuzmenko. I almost called him Kuzmenenko again. I don't know why my brain wants to put that extra syllable in that man's name so badly, but it does. Eddie Garcia, thank you so much for joining me, and we will talk to you soon.
Thank you for asking.